Welcome back to Hannity. So, according to an absolutely stunning report out of the Wall Street Journal, the Obama administration, as we told you earlier, secretly gave Iran, the #1 state sponsor of terror, the equivalent of $400 million in cold, hard cash during the same time that American hostages were being freed by Tehran. Now, Republican lawmakers are saying it amounts to ransom and will now put more Americans at risk. But, of course, both the State Department and the propaganda office of the White House, they're claiming the timing of the money and the transfer and the prisoner release, it's all just a coincidence.
We don't pay ransom. We just don't pay ransom. It is our policy. This was not ransom. Any suggestion that it had anything to do with ransom is absolutely and utterly false. These were two separate processes run by two separate teams. Now, yes, they were done simultaneously, and so I understand the coincidental nature here of the timing, but absolutely had nothing to do with ransom.
This $400 million is actually money that the Iranians had paid into a U.S. account in 1979 as part of a transaction to procure military equipment. This all came to a head at the same time because we are addressing and resolving longstanding concerns with Iranian behavior. And the benefits are almost too long to mention.
Here with reaction, author of Defeating Jihad, the Winnable War, the Distinguished Chair of Military Theory at Marine Corps University, Dr. Sebastian Gorka, author of The Damned of Petersburg. Fox News strategic analyst, Lieutenant Colonel Ralph Peters. Dr. Gorka, I'll start with you. Well, it's interesting. The Iranians have weighed in, and they said it's ransom. They said it was paid ransom. Reaction.
Sean, today the FBI charged a police officer in Washington with wiring money to what he thought was ISIS. In the criminal code, that is called material support to terrorism. What the Obama regime did is $400 million worth of material support to terrorism. The president himself admitted in an interview in March of 2015 that Iran is still a state sponsor of terrorism. Why are we giving them any money? We know that they will use part of that money for terrorist operations, and we know in the last 15 years that they sponsored and gave weapons to the militias in Iraq that killed U.S. servicemen and women. How is that not material support to a terrorist regime, Sean?
Well, and Colonel Peters, it's not just the president that admits their state sponsors of terror. Josh Earnest today, John Kerry, Susan Rice have all admitted that the money given to Iran, and I'll use John Kerry's words, yes, could be used to fund terrorism. How stupid are we that we acknowledge, yeah, they might use it to fund terrorism, but we're going to give it to them anyway?
Well, we're really stupid. And the Iranians are brilliant negotiators, and we are pathetically inept. I mean, a basic rule of negotiations is don't let the other side know that you desperately want something. And Obama and Kerry from the start allowed the Iranians to know full well that they desperately wanted a comprehensive nuke deal that would be Obama and Kerry's legacy. So the Iranians beat us up at every turn. And it is indisputable that this $400 million was a sweetener for the Iranians. In addition to giving the Iranians criminals and terrorists and spies back, gave them the $400 million, established the price, by the way, of an American hostage now. It's $100 million plus an assorted criminal or thug thrown in the mix. But the bottom line is Obama and Kerry wanted it bad, and by God, they got it bad. And these protestations, it's all merely a coincidence that it went down the same day.
Well, I have some swampland, Colonel, in Florida. I'd like to sell you if you in the bridge.
May I
it's pretty
just point
big.
out, briefly, just look, if it was all above board, why an unmarked cargo plane in the dead of night, and why circumvent U.S. law by doing it in Swiss franc and euros stinks to high heaven.
Okay, stinks to high heaven. Did they break the law, Dr. Gorka?
It's material support to terrorism. If a cop in Washington can get arrested Absolutely. Think about one thing. The 9/11 Commission report it did the financial forensics on that attack. 9/11 did $1 trillion worth of damage to the U.S. economy in just the first 12 months after the attack. Do you know how much bin Laden paid for that operation? Less than $500,000. The whole operation. We just gave Iran the equivalent of 8 9/11s.
Wow, that's really chilling. All right.